Fox 32 has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands of dollars.
Is there a motion to terminate?
Residents of Thorne Township are furious after a costly and poorly executed event organized by Mayor Tiffany Henyard pushed the already financially struggling town deeper into debt. Despite a clear veto from town trustees rejecting her request, for funding, Henyard pressed on with the $85,000 Taste of Thorne Township celebration. The event featured R&B singer Kai Wyatt and rapper Jay Holiday, both of whom were reportedly paid extravagant fees. Wyatt received $30,000 for a 30-minute performance, and Holiday earned $220,000 for the same length of time. What was initially marketed as a community celebration quickly became a glaring example of wasteful spending. The event, which saw poor attendance, left frustrated residents who are already grappling with neglected public services and deteriorating infrastructure. Thorne Township has long struggled with crumbling roads, underfunded services, and rising municipal debt. Yet these pressing issues were ignored in favor of a lavish event that few seem to want. The fallout from the event only adds to growing concerns over Henyard's financial management and leadership. Recent investigations and public records have revealed a disturbing pattern of wasteful expenditures under the leadership of Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Taxpayer dollars have been spent on luxury hotels, first-class flights, extravagant meals, and even private security details, all justified as necessary for official business trips to cities like New York, Atlanta, and Portland. One of the most glaring examples of this misuse of public funds occurred during a stay at the Four Seasons Hotel in Atlanta, where Henyard reportedly racked up nearly $10,000 in expenses for a trip that yielded no tangible benefits for Thorne Township or its residents. These lavish expenditures, especially when contrasted with the town's severe budget shortfalls and struggling infrastructure, have sparked outrage. The lack of accountability surrounding these spending decisions has left many residents questioning how such frivolous spending can be justified when basic services remain underfunded and the community is facing mounting financial hardship. Henyard's actions seem increasingly out of touch with the reality that her constituents are living. While residents struggle with crumbling roads, underfunded schools, and unreliable public services, the mayor continues to prioritize personal luxuries and extravagant trips. The anger surrounding the Taste of Thorne Township event, along with Henyard's penchant for lavish spending, has only amplified the growing frustration with her leadership. Residents, who are already grappling with a deteriorating quality of life, are demanding greater transparency in how public funds are being spent. They want to know how such a drastic misallocation of resources was allowed to happen, and why their elected leader continues to avoid addressing their most urgent concerns. At a time when Thorne Township is on the brink of financial collapse, with rising debt and a struggling economy, Henyard's leadership appears increasingly out of step with the needs of the community. As the gap between her priorities and the town's reality widens, so does the growing call for change. Residents are asking for responsible governance, one that prioritizes fiscal responsibility and focuses on the town's long-term well-being, rather than on personal indulgences. The frustration that residents feel is no longer a matter of isolated complaints. It has become a movement for accountability and change. With each new revelation about Henyard's spending habits, the town's confidence in her ability to lead continues to erode. As calls for her resignation grow louder, it has become clear that Thorne Township can no longer afford to have a leader who prioritizes luxury over the well-being of its people. The town's financial struggles are dire, and the path forward will require leadership that is committed to addressing the real issues at hand, restoring basic services, stabilizing the budget, and providing residents with the quality of life they deserve.
Addressing things as the supervisor, there will be no comments, there won't be anything, it will be me addressing you guys to tell you what's
resources while essential services suffer. The most infamous example was the $85,000 party featuring high-paid rappers, an event many saw as a tone-deaf display of excess in a town struggling to stay afloat. Meanwhile, reports of disappearing funds and reckless spending have only added to the growing sense of distrust. As Dalton's financial woes deepen, Henyard's absence from key meetings and public engagements has left residents speculating about her next move. Is she preparing to quietly step away before facing the full consequences of her actions? Or is she doubling down, hoping to consolidate power despite the mounting backlash? Her tenure, which began in 2021, has been plagued by scandal, mismanagement, and a steady erosion of public trust. Once a town with a modest financial surplus, Dalton now faces a staggering $3.65 million deficit, with many blaming Henyard's reckless leadership. Accusations of misallocated resources, extravagant spending sprees, and a failure to prioritize the community's real needs have only fueled the outrage. With critical services under strain, public frustration has reached a boiling point. Residents are demanding accountability, transparency, and a clear plan to rescue the town from financial ruin. But with their mayor seemingly more interested in avoiding scrutiny than addressing concerns, the future of Dalton remains uncertain. For now, one question looms large in the minds of residents. Will Henyard finally face the music, or will she vanish altogether, leaving behind a town in crisis? Funds have allegedly been mismanaged, with personal connections seemingly prioritized over addressing Dalton's most urgent needs. These decisions have sparked widespread frustration, leaving residents questioning whether Tiffany Henyard is truly invested in the town's future or merely using her position for self-serving purposes. Her pattern of evasiveness, dodging public meetings, avoiding accountability, and now seemingly vanishing altogether, has only deepened the crisis. As pressure mounts for answers and action, Henyard's continued absence and refusal to engage have left citizens feeling abandoned. Despite the growing turmoil, she remains conspicuously missing, reinforcing the perception that her leadership is not just ineffective, but actively harmful to the community. With Dalton's financial struggles reaching a tipping point, residents are demanding clarity. Where have their tax dollars gone? How does Henyard plan to address the mess she has overseen? Each unanswered question and unfulfilled promise only strengthens the belief that she is either incapable of reversing the damage or unwilling to try. The town's crisis is now undeniable, and with Henyard seemingly in hiding, the community is left to wonder what comes next. Is she plotting her exit, or is she preparing yet another strategic move to deflect responsibility? What remains certain is that the urgency to confront Dalton's challenges is growing. The town has reached one of its darkest chapters, and residents are left questioning whether their mayor will finally emerge to face the music, or if this game of hide-and-seek will lead to a leadership void that Dalton simply cannot afford.
Shameful. Y'all are a disgrace.
We're watching all of this.
Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dalton, Illinois, has once again vanished, leaving residents both bewildered and furious. The latest controversy unfolded during a special town meeting organized to confront her directly and demand answers to the growing concerns plaguing the community. Residents were desperate to uncover the truth behind Dalton's financial turmoil, including the mysterious disappearance of funds and the reasoning behind a lavish party that reportedly drained $85,000 from the town's already struggling budget. The event, which featured high-paid rappers, was widely criticized as ostentatious and tone-deaf, sparking outrage and raising serious questions about Henyard's judgment and fiscal management. As citizens gathered, the atmosphere in the meeting room was charged with frustration and unmet expectations. They had come seeking accountability, only to be met with Henyard's glaring absence. Faces in the crowd reflected disbelief and exhaustion as the realization set in. Once again, the mayor had chosen to avoid answering for her actions. Critics pointed to her no-show as emblematic of her controversial tenure, marked by alleged mismanagement, dwindling public trust, and a string of scandals that have cast a long shadow over Dalton. Henyard's repeated absences from critical town matters, along with her apparent prioritization of personal ambition over public duty, have fueled growing speculation about her commitment to the role and whether she intends to fulfill her responsibilities at all. In her absence, citizens voiced their grievances, expressing their mounting anger and frustration. The unanswered questions were both vast and troubling. Where has the town's money gone? What justification exists for such extravagant expenditures in the midst of financial despair? Most critically, what is the plan to get Dalton back on track and prevent further collapse? What should have been an opportunity for accountability and progress instead became an outpouring of frustration and uncertainty. Henyard's disappearance only underscored the urgency of the town's issues, leaving residents more determined than ever to demand answers, justice, and a future that does not rely on empty promises or evasive tactics. As the day ended with no word or explanation from Henyard, the anger of the citizens hardened into a firm resolve to to hold their elusive mayor accountable and begin the difficult work of restoring Dalton's integrity.